back to another episode of the Poker News podcast. It is your girl, Sarah Herring, joined by Jeff Platt. We are sans Chad Holloway this week because he's busy trying to play some poker. Wait, aren't you a poker player on this podcast?
No, this is Chad. I think Chad turned pro. He's firing a $5,000 World Poker Tour event at the Venetian. And if he wins, or probably if he min cashes, he'll never be back on the show again. He's just going to run for the hills and pursue a professional poker career, I'm sure.
Okay, so where did Chad get $5,000 to play this tournament? I just want to know.
You guys pay well over there at PokerNews. That's what I hear. Yeah.
Jeff like invoices for like the entire year just to make it like worth it.
I do wait a little bit to submit the invoices.
Fully with you. All right. Well, Chad, we wish you luck, of course, at the Venetian, and we, hope you have all the fun in Sin City. In fact, Chad was in Sin City to interview Ryan Beauregard, which we will have a little bit later in the show. He is the executive director of poker at the Wynn. Now, the Wynn, I feel like, is sort of generally considered by a lot of the poker players that I know to be like their favorite place to play in Las Vegas. Jeff, what's your favorite place to play in Las Vegas?
Good question. It's close for me. For a tournament player, I think it's either the Wynn or the Venetian. Now, Aria is fantastic. They just run some small dailies and that's it. Their summer Aria Classic series is amazing. So I'd say somewhere between Aria, Venetian, Wynn, Poker Coast Studio, of course. Don't mean to brag, Sarah. I've been on Poker After Dark a couple times. It's fun to play there. And yeah, that's my lineup of favorite places to play.
No big deal, but I did talk to Lynn Gilmartin last night, which I expect to be on next week's podcast for you guys. And she did mention that the Poker Go studios are pretty much perfect and amazing, and that it's like the best place to play poker. So you're definitely spot on there. But wherever you are playing poker, obviously at this point in our lives, one of the most important things to worry about is safety. How are the rooms maintaining safety for the COVID standards? How are they taking care of their chips, their cards, their dealers, their distancing, all of the above? And our sponsor for the interview this week with Mr. Beauregard is Elite Chip Care. Now, don't waste money purchasing expensive, labor-intensive chip cleaning systems that ultimately can't keep up with your volume of chips. Elite Chip Care's cleaning system is easily set up in your card room or casino, and their experienced professional staff does all the work for you so you don't have to. Their portable system cleans and sanitizes up to 150,000 chips per day for just pennies each. Elite Chip Care uses a gentle but thorough process of ultrasonics that eliminates the need for harsh chemicals and detergents and leaves your chips clean, smooth, and odor-free. To learn more, visit EliteChipCare.com and let us hear what Chad found out over at the Wynn.
All right, I am with our guest, somebody I'm very excited to talk about, seeing that I just arrived in Vegas and will be spending some time at the Wynn Las Vegas. The director of poker operations over there, one Ryan Beauregard. Ryan, thanks for taking the time to chat with us here at the Poker News podcast.
Hey, Chad. Thanks a bunch for having me, and welcome back to Vegas. I'm sure it's been a little while.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to be here. I'm excited, like I said, to come over there to the Wynn because you guys are doing some great things. But before we get into that, for those who might not know you, I've known you for a few years now. I know a little bit about your background, but I'm sure a lot of people don't, as you're kind of behind the scenes and an industry guy. Can you just give the listeners a little bit about yourself and your history in the game of poker?
Sure. Yeah, I do my best to stay in the back and kind of work in the shadows. And but I was a day one employee here at Wynn Las Vegas. That was all the way back in 2005. So we're coming up on 16 years now. But I was fortunate enough. I spent nearly 7 years in Macau. So I came from Vegas to Macau and had some fun times in Macau. Opened up the poker room for the Wynn Macau over there. And I've been back here as the executive director at Wynn Las Vegas for almost 6 years now. So it's been quite a travel, quite a round trip, if you might say.
Yeah, I was always fascinated by the fact that you went over there to Macau, opened the poker room. I've been there myself just one time, but it was just such a different world to me. So kind of in awe that you took that leap, so to speak, because in my, to go from the U.S. to Vegas to going over there is just worlds apart. Was it a good overall experience?
Yeah, it sure was. I mean, look, I was early 30s, and they said, hey, we're opening a poker room in Macau, and somehow my hand just went up, and I said, sure, that sounds like fun. So it was it was just a once in a lifetime experience, and it turned out to be, it was supposed to be a year and a half, and it turned in almost 7 years. So it was just so unique, and from a poker perspective, such a incredible kind of microcosm of the poker world, because everybody kind of migrated over there at one point or another. So you got to meet a lot of great people, and as I got immersed in the culture and understood Macau and Hong Kong and China a little bit more, it was great to share that all that knowledge with the players that came. And most of them came and they stayed for quite a while. There were people that basically moved over there and lived there for years at a time, just like myself.
Right. But you said it was a unique experience. Another unique experience that we're all going through right now is the COVID pandemic, and Wynn is back in operation. The poker room is open. You guys are doing a great job there. We're going to talk a little bit about the Wynn Spring Classic here in a minute, but before we do, what's it like operating a poker room during these crazy times that we're living in?
Yeah, I mean, it was surreal to be back. We opened right around October of last year, and it was just surreal in general. We went from poker was really booming in the end of 2019 to really kind of starting over, Las Vegas as a whole. And it's been exciting. Everybody was really excited to come back after so much time off, and a little bit nervous, but the safety precautions that we put in place and all the mandates from Nevada and the governor and so forth. It's done a great job of keeping everybody safe in the poker world, and we've been fortunate to just have a great group of people and a great group of employees. And the players have been coming back slowly but surely, and we're ramping up. And like you said, we're to the point now where we're running our first Wynn Classic. And it's pretty exciting to be back, that's for sure.
Yeah,
exciting to see a lot of faces that we haven't seen for a while.
For sure. And I was going to ask, it had to have been kind of up in the air for a while whether or not you would be able to host this year's Wynn Spring Classic. Is that something you guys, had always hoped to do, you worked towards, or how did it come about that you were able to pull this off?
Yeah, I mean, it was always on our radar. The Wynn, we used to call it just the Wynn Classic, but we've kind of morphed it into the Wynn Spring Classic. It was the original Wynn Classic that was run way back in the day, and it's always been a great time. We've always worked around some major events here on the West Coast, and it's fit in nicely with the schedules. So it was always something that was on the forefront of our mind, and we got our feet wet. We ran a small series in January, and we noticed that the players were coming back, and there's been some great turnouts around town and some other venues, and also throughout the country. So we knew that players were really looking for things to play. So we took a shot, and we found some good spots, and we decided we were actually going to go big, and we're running $2 million events back-to-back weekends, and that's the first time we've ever done that that I can remember. So it's exciting. We always wanted to run it, and we're glad it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm excited. One of the last events that I covered prior to the pandemic was the Wynn Winter Classic, which was great, and then we were slated to do the Spring Classic in 2020, but then of course the COVID pandemic hit, and we didn't get to, and so now I kind of feel like it's back. Things are getting a little bit more back to normal. You mentioned these $1 million guaranteed tournaments. I know one of them is coming up. I believe it kicks off on March 12th, will last through the 15th. It's a $3,500 buy-in and shaping up to be a pretty big event, in my opinion. There's been some good chatter about it. Are you guys ready to host an event of this caliber and this size, which is going to certainly garner a lot of attention in the poker world?
Yeah, we certainly are. We've got, I think we've got 40 tables that we're going to use on the Encore side. So for those that have spent the summers in Las Vegas, we've got the poker room as well as the Players Lounge, which is located right outside the poker room. So with 40 tables, we can host a pretty respectable field out there. Everything's nicely distanced, and the pools are going to be open. And I got a hunch, just like you said, it's going to feel a little bit like summer when we come around next week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great momentum going into the summer. I mean, you mentioned it, and that was going to be my last question, so I'll ask it now. That's on the mind of every poker player this summer, right? Because usually it's the World Series of Poker time. It's not looking like it's going to be WSOP time, which might open the door for you guys and others in Vegas to maybe do something this summer. Can poker players expect to maybe see some tournament action from the Wynn Poker Room this summer?
For sure. I mean, who knows if it'll be, I don't think anybody can go quite as big as we normally go when the World Series is in town. But I'm sure that besides the Wynn, I'm sure there's some other venues that are looking at some spots there. But, it's kind of the time where everybody makes a pilgrimage to Las Vegas in the summer. And I think there's going to be plenty of people that still want to make that trip. And the World Series is obviously the World Series. And we all hope it'll be back in full force later this year. As you mentioned, as we think the rumors are that it's going to happen a little bit later in the year. And we'll all have that World Series experience then, but it doesn't mean that we can't do something big in the summertime and hopefully give people a reason to not break their yearly routine. So look for that. That'll be once we get through this March Classic, we'll start aiming towards the schedule for the summertime.
That's definitely good news, very exciting news. And Ryan, I wanted to say thank you again for taking the time to chat with us at PokerNews. And just on a more personal level, thank you for all you do for the industry. I've done a lot of work behind the scenes as well, industry insiders and things like that. And your contributions to the game here at the Wynn Las Vegas, and as we talked about over there in Macau, I think certainly deserves some recognition. So thank you for all that.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I would say the same to you. There's nobody that works harder, or very few people that work harder, and I always love keeping up with you on social media and seeing where your adventures take you. So, thanks for being here. We look forward to seeing you here in Vegas next week.
Well, like I said, we've got a great show for you guys. 2 guests, in fact. We really appreciate having Ryan on, and also later in the show, we have the man, the myth, the legend, that is Fedor Holz.
I've heard of him.
He's definitely a name on the circuit, and I thought there was not a chance in hell that he was going to be able to do the podcast this week. When we reached out to Doug and Daniel during their time in their Heads Up match, I mean, that was like 3 months where I could barely get like a message back because they were both so busy studying and all of the above. But Fedor said, like, this is about entertainment, and he's coming into it as entertainment both for himself and for the homies who will be watching, which this is a super cool format. Of course, it's going to be like every couple days and just over in a couple weeks, like a little more than 10 days, I think. And there's going to be some cocktails, but most exciting, and you may know more about, all of the ins and outs, Jeff, since you basically are working for GG as an ambassador now, that they're going to be streaming this with whole cards.
Yes, that is absolutely huge. So I think it starts tomorrow, right? We're taping this podcast on a Thursday. The Face Off Heads Up Challenge, I think, is the official name. It's Fedor versus Limitless, 2 of the very, very, very best. And I think to stream this kind of event, this kind of a challenge with whole cards is awesome. It's huge. I know Limitless said on Joey's pod that he'd be happy to drink while he plays. I don't know how much access they'll get with the players during the challenge while they are playing, if there are going to be post-game interviews, but I'm very much looking forward to this. So, I mean, whenever 2 of the best players challenge each other and want to go at it and want to do battle, I think that's really compelling. We've seen the success of these Heads Up challenges over the last couple of years. So we have that to look forward to. Like you said, it's kind of a quick hit. They'll play for a couple of weeks, they'll play a couple of times per week, and then boom, we'll be done with it all. And I'm excited about it.
I'm so excited. And I really feel like having access to the whole cards is just something that's like pretty much never going to happen. I mean, we get whole cards, of course, when you're watching these, high stakes events play out, the 50Ks, the 100Ks, the 25Ks at these live tournaments. But seeing 2 sickos playing Heads Up cash and having access to both their whole cards is just something, for me, unprecedented. I've never seen this happen before. And I think it shows a lot of confidence on both of their parts, which clearly they have, and that they're not afraid to put the information out there. And it was interesting because Fedor even said that, he's less concerned with quote unquote the GTO. He didn't use those terms, but that he's less concerned with going through all the hands and figuring out exactly what the limitless leaks are, and more concerned with just making sure that he comes in well rested and feeling good. Now, Limitless, I'm less familiar with him, and I did ask Fedor about the tweet from Doug. For those who don't know, I think I even took a picture of the tweet. I might have thrown it away by now, but for those who don't know, this is what Doug had to say about this Heads Up challenge. Fedor, extremely weak at Heads Up No Limit. Every reg dreams of having him sit at their table, spew-tastic, and punts hard. Limitless, one of the most overrated regs on the planet. His proof for being the best is saying so on a podcast. Since then, lots of losing to real top dogs. Should be good. So I did a little video, which you guys can check out if you're interested, just on sort of the backstory of Fedor and Limitless and some of their Heads Up history. But this tweet had me wondering, and I'm curious your thoughts, Jeff, and understanding on the skill level of Limitless.
Well, first of all, what stood out to me almost the most about that tweet is a couple replies from Jungle Man. And Jungle Man, Dan Kate, said, "You really do take arrogance to the next level. It's got the confidence aspect, so that's good, I guess." And then Doug responded to him, "Did I miss something on you being relevant here?" I just really liked that. Shots fired from Doug Polk. Listen, Doug Polk would know, right? And Doug made sure to say, like, on my specific team that we have, I'm the third best out of 3, but I would be ahead of these two guys. He does seem to feel that both Fedor and Limitless are extremely overrated, at least when it comes to Heads Up. And that was really interesting because I had always assumed, I don't, like you said, know that much about Limitless, but every single time the conversation comes up about best players in the world and also best Heads Up no limit hold'em players in the world, Limitless's name is always used. So I just assumed that Doug Polk also had Limitless at the top of his list. Fedor, I'm not too sure because I know Fedor has played mostly tournaments over the year with mixing in a little high stakes cash here and there. But for him to say that about Limitless, saying his proof for being the best is just saying so, I didn't know that. I was unaware of that. So that surprises me. I'm not sure how that relates to what we can expect to see in this challenge. I'd be surprised if any of them could impress Doug with what they do, but it's definitely surprising to see that from Doug.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. And especially, as I was researching the sort of backstory, if you will, there was, Limitless is currently engaged in a challenge against basically the whole poker world. But right now he's been playing against Stefan Birkenhoff, and
yes, he
is losing. According to Birkenhoff, Limitless is losing by quite a lot, like $400,000 or something. And in the article I read by, I think, Mo Nawara, he was saying, comparing the Daniel Negreanu, Doug Polk difference, actually the difference right now between Stefan and Limitless is infinitely more vast. Like he's just crushing Limitless. But it's funny because to me, after watching Limitless and just a few of the interviews I watched, I was like, I don't know, dude. Like anyone who believes in themselves that much and is like that willing to just like put their money where their mouth is, I'm like, I don't know, dude. I kind of like have to believe that he's up for the challenge.
Right. He is so confident. I mean, like I said, picture playing, one of the best to ever do it in Fedor and being like, I can just be totally hammered throughout all this and just be completely fine because I'm the best and this is what I do. You admire that level of confidence. It can come across as arrogance or cockiness at times, but it feels like he genuinely believes that he's at the very, very top and he'll take on all challengers. And I think that's cool. And that's really good for the game also.
I totally agree. We need more characters like that. And, that's something that Fedor even mentioned. He said, this guy caught my attention. I think he seems kind of cool. And, the dynamic between them, being able to see them, talk to each other. This is something really we were looking for, I think, more from the Daniel and Doug challenge is maybe everything that we wanted to see and maybe didn't get to see, and that we're hoping hopefully we're not putting too much hope in this, but I'm very excited. So let's go ahead and without further ado, get to the interview with Fedor. And when we come back, Jeff, I'm interested to hear about your recent interview with Phil Hellmuth and Daniel Negreanu while we stay in the 2021 Heads Up Challenge, year of the Heads Up, whatever we're calling it now. All right, well, let's go ahead and hear what Fedor feels like coming into what will likely be the first match today. Hello, everybody. I am joined by Fedor Holz, which I am so lucky. I know, really, I just heard about your, Heads Up Challenge on Monday, and I thought, okay, there's no chance in hell I'm going to get him on the podcast. He's probably so busy just training or watching videos or I don't know, whatever it is that you're doing, but you agreed to give us 30 minutes of your life, and I am so grateful, Fedor.
You're welcome. Always nice to talk to you, Sarah.
Okay, so let's just first, I do also want to talk about just a couple of other things that you have going on in your life. You always, a multifaceted gentleman with lots of things on his plate. I would like to just touch on those. But before that, let's just get right into it. Give me the juicy details. Give me the backstory. What was sort of the inspiration to be like, yeah, let's just do this. Let's heads up for rolls or whatever we're calling it now.
I wouldn't call it heads up for rolls, but it's I'm excited. It's mostly the background behind the challenge against Wiktor is really just fun and entertainment. So I saw him on Joey's podcast. I found him a super fun character, and I think the way he got it across was fun. So I was picking up on that and was like, okay, once the Daniel against Doug challenge is over, let's do something. That's how it all started, and then we discussed terms, and now really quickly we put something together. And the part that I am most excited about is that people can watch it with whole cards, and we're going to be on video call, and we can see each other and talk to each other. So that's just going to be, I think, a fun heads up challenge.
That's something we talked about a lot with the Daniel and Doug challenge, because I think initially they had also discussed maybe playing some other games, but then they were like, nobody's going to probably want to watch that. Everybody, of course, wants to watch Heads Up No Limit, but without whole cards for a big portion of the audience, you're just like missing an element. So I'm super excited about that also. But there is also another element to your guys' challenge, and I don't know if this is legit, but are you guys going to be drinking wine?
That's how he put out the challenge. It was like he can play me drunk and no problem. Like, so yeah, that will happen. He will be drinking. I may join in at some point, but yeah, mostly he confirmed that he will be drunk while playing. So let's see.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, and I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't know how much of this guy's shtick is real or how much of it is a character, but either way, it's pretty funny, and I'm interested to see how the whole thing plays out. Now,
me too.
Doug just sort of called you both out, I guess, a couple days ago, maybe, and was like, oh yeah, everyone would just love to play Fedor Heads Up, and this Limitless guy is basically a joke who just like talks trash on podcasts. What would your response to the ever trash talking Doug be?
I think that I don't think I'm a top. I think that's also what has been maybe mistakenly understood within what I said is I don't think I'm a top 10 heads up player or anything like that. I think there's I actually don't know how good I am. I haven't really played much volume. I really enjoy it. For me, the challenge is really about learning something myself and then trying to beat him. Like, obviously I will try my best to play as good as I can, but really at the end, if I lose, it will be a great experience, and if I win, it will be great experience. So that's why I do it. Just looking at the Doug against Daniel challenge, I just wanted to do it in a way, all the things that I was wishing for is like, hey, I would have wished they played, you could see the cards, or they would talk to each other while playing. And so I was just like, okay. And also maybe for less hands. That's exactly what we're doing is less hands, more intense on stream. You can see the cards. We talk to each other. There's little side bets. He's going to be drinking, like stuff like this is more building around having fun and entertaining to watch than around, hey, I'm the best in the game and I want to take the top spot. Around Wiktor's skill level, I think Wiktor is very, very good at poker. I've never played him before, I think, in Heads Up. I don't think we played a single hand, so I don't really know. I think that Doug is very, very good at Heads Up. I think his team is really, really good. And yeah, for me, it's not such an ego thing. Like I'm not going in here saying, oh, I'm the big dick Fedor. It's more like I want to play for fun, and that's what I'm here for. And I'll do my best, of course.
That makes a lot of sense. We're doing it for entertainment, and it most certainly is setting up to be entertaining. Now, you mentioned a little bit, Doug's team. I know Daniel and Doug spent a lot of time training, preparing, studying, a lot of hours within the context of the 3 or 4 months that they were actually playing, going back through things with their team. Your guys' situation is significantly shorter. The amount of time to prepare is also significantly shorter. So what are you doing at the moment, if anything? I mean, you're doing an interview with me, so you're clearly not training that hard.
Not all the time. No, I'm prepping. I will, obviously it's all in relation. Like I'm not gonna sit in the lab 16 hours now, but I will prep for the match. I think when there's little time and not a crazy amount of hands, it doesn't make sense to fundamentally start to roll up from beginning, but I will try to fix or look into the spots, like having my preflop ranges properly sound and flop in 3-bet pots and single raise pots, and just look into some of the more major situations again. And then just, for me, it's mostly going to be going in and feeling great. Like I think still in Heads Up, I saw that when I played the Legend Showdown as well, where I played basically the most of my Heads Up hands. I think that I realize I play much better when I'm really in the zone, and there's definitely a lot of reads to be picked up on opponents. And I think especially when we are on camera, there will be some things I can pick up there. So I'm mostly looking to just feel very good, because I think that will then have an impact on whether I can bring that to the table or not.
That's true. I actually didn't consider how much actually being on Zoom could change the dynamics in more of a live setting, if you will, or making it more like that. Well, I know you don't have much time, but I want to touch at least a little bit on a few other things. Everyone knows we're super excited. It starts tomorrow. So actually this might go out the morning of the event. What time are you guys going to start streaming, and where can people watch it?
You can watch it. I think it's ggpoker.tv. And yeah, it will be 30 minutes delay with whole cards, and we will be like, it's a setup where you will see our cameras while we play on one table. So that's going to be fun. And it will start 7 p.m. my time.
Austria.
So almost European time. Yeah.
European time. Well, we will surely be glued to that. And before I let you go, I want to touch a little bit on just some other things going on in your life.
Yes.
You always have tons of stuff. And actually, when I interviewed Daniel a couple weeks ago, he had said that he's really turned his focus to chess, and that's kind of what he's really inspired by right now and what's motivating and interesting to him. And it seems like clearly this is something also that's been motivating and inspiring to you. Can you talk to me a little bit about this movement in the chess game?
Yeah, I just really enjoy it. It's very plain and simple. I started picking it up last year again. I used to enjoy it a lot as a child. I played for 2 years there, and then kind of took a 15-year break. I retired from playing chess, and then now I picked it up again, and I started to like it, and just played like a couple blitz games a day. And then now, a couple months ago, I was getting in touch with other mostly chess streamers, and then we did some coaching, and that's really when I was like, wow, I'm getting thirsty for more information, and I started looking more into openings and did a bit more preparation. And it was mostly like how I studied poker. More, I play a game, and then I see a situation that I don't really know, and I'm like, oh, I wanna know more about that, and then I do some review. And now it went from maybe 20 minutes a day to maybe 2 hours, 2-3 hours a day. So it's quite intense now already. And I actually do more theory, I would say, than I play. So I really enjoy learning and looking into engines and what they do. And it's quite refreshing to see a different field than poker.
Yeah, well, obviously taking a little break from poker was something that you were thirsty for and have been using your time, I think, very wisely to do all kinds of other fun projects. And I think this is a really interesting time to be into chess, actually. There's some sort of, I think, global movement into the world of chess, of course, because of some of the, I think it's because of the TV shows and things that have come out, but I can see a lot of crossover between poker and chess, and we've already seen that, of course, as we've seen a lot of chess players move into the poker space and vice versa. Now, you're streaming some of your chess and also some of your poker?
Yeah, both. Right now I stream, actually I did stream almost 3 or 4 times a week in the last 2 weeks. So it was Sundays that I streamed my poker, and then there's actually a really fun Among Us round with some big German Twitch streamers and YouTubers, and that's actually such a nice group. And so now we play once or twice a week. We play Among Us, but it's in German, so that's a limitation for English listeners. And then I play whenever I feel like playing chess. Right now it's a bit less on a daily basis. It's more every 2 or 3 days I play a bit longer sessions. Then I stream that as well. So yeah, I've been streaming 10 to 20 hours a week now, and I still like it. So let's see where that goes afterwards.
And are you streaming on your own channel, or do you stream on GG?
No, I stream on my own channel. It's /CrownUpGuy. Yeah, if you want to check it out, go check it out.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Lots of us will be there. And of course, one of your other major projects, I think of the last 4 years or something, was Poker Code. What's going on there? How much time or energy are you having invested in that at this point?
A lot recently. We are actually, that's right now why it's a bit busy, because we launched basically our biggest event up till today next week, and it's still a bit secret, but it's gonna have to do with Pokemon. That's why I have a ton of merch behind me. So that's gonna be really exciting. We will partner with some of the biggest Pokemon YouTubers and Twitchers, and that's going to be very fun. So for me it's going to be a very overwhelming next 2 weeks.
Yeah, so for those who don't understand or are not familiar with all the dynamics of what's happening with this Heads Up challenge, how many weeks are you guys going to do it, and how frequently, how much basically time are you going to put into this bad boy?
So it will be very intense. We will be done in like basically 10 days. We will be done already. So we will play basically every 2 or 3 days. The dates will be released, or maybe they have been released already. So our first match is tomorrow, or the 5th of March. Then our next one will be the 8th of March, then 10th of March, and then probably the 13th. Like, we're still confirming that. So it's going to be 4 matches. We're going to play quite long sessions, so a couple hours. So we will play 1,600 hands, 100, 200. So yeah, it will be intense, short time frame, and fun, and a lot of alcohol.
It's going to be crazy for sure. How many tables are you guys going to play at once?
Just one. So then it's easier, like, especially with the live aspect.
Yeah,
I think it's much easier to play one. So, like, you always know when we talk about something, then you know what hand or table we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, from an entertainment perspective, I think it's just a lot easier for us, out here in the regular world to see. Okay, well, you have like 5 minutes left. So talk to me about anything else. What else is happening in the life and world of Fedor Holz? Are you still working on the sort of sustainable living projects? Are you still invested in, in some ways in fashion? Like, what else is going on?
Yeah, so I would say a third of my week I spend in our fashion lab. We're actually going to launch, or I'm going to launch a hoodie this year that I've been working on since a year already. Just basically for me, I don't really have big ambitions with that. It's just some people started asking me about it, and I just wanted to create one that I really like to wear, because especially playing poker and being on the computer a lot, and when it gets a bit colder, just having something cozy that is comfy that you feel good in, but that's also really good quality. Like that's kind of what I was looking into, because I started suing myself and started to learn more about the material. And so I just wanted to create something where I feel like, wow, I actually really like that. And then maybe other people like it. We will find that out. So that's a part where mostly in the mornings and afternoons I'm there. And then the second bigger project is Poker Code, where I'm not very operationally involved, but around creating content and coaching and taking care of the community. So that's more my involvement there. Still playing some poker and doing some streaming. So that's actually been piling up quite a bit lately. So it's much more than, like in the last 2-3 months, it's much more than it used to be. Last year, I actually kind of liked that thing slowed down a bit. And then, yeah, staying in touch with friends, spending time with friends or with my girlfriend, and socializing as much as I can here reasonably. That's something I really try to implement into my day to day. If it's just coffee walks, that's like getting outside, some fresh air. Like that's really important for me right now. I can feel how much it has an impact on my well-being. And besides that, yeah, I still have a lot of my investments where it's more, I found better ways to manage it and talk to the people involved and find good ways to go forward. So that's great. And yeah, that's I would say the bigger part of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, you've always got a full plate, clearly.
Much less now. So I'm happy about that.
For a normal person such as myself, that's more than I can take. I, honestly, just wait to have a child probably for a long time, because that takes like really big percentage of time in life, and like out of it you have just the child still. Like there's not so much obvious ROI. But I talked to Vivian Saliba last week, who lives also in Austria, but in like a small town somewhere. And she said basically everything is shut completely still. Is it like that in Vienna? Are you able to do anything really in the like traditional world?
I actually don't know that well, because I didn't really I don't really go much in stores or shops. So we can open, with the studio, there's people coming in. So that works, but it's limited and it's with mask and so on. So it's obviously all reduced, but in terms of restaurants and so on, still everything closed. So that's been for a long time now. It's approaching, I think, 3 months or something like that. And it's, I feel I'm getting used to it actually. It's really mostly about getting time outside. That's the most important for me, is to, if I don't leave the house, like then it definitely wears on my mindset.
Yeah, I have the same thing. You've got to take a walk. You got to get up, see the sunshine, just even for a little bit. Let the sun be on your skin. You can like actually feel it. I think sometimes when you like the sun gets on your skin, you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm receiving energy right now. It's happening. It's really crazy. And are you playing the piano, or does someone who lives with you play the piano?
No, I'm faking playing the piano. It's behind me. I get this question so often. No, I bought it because I really like to have one. Especially like we sing here sometimes with friends. A friend of mine plays really well, so I'm actually really happy I have it. But yeah, I never really got to learn it much better than playing a couple tunes. So not
that
very
can be
good.
The next thing after you become a grandmaster in chess, then next you can become
unlikely for either of these, but let's see. Maybe you never know what's going to happen. Maybe the piano flash comes at some point and I start getting more into it.
I would not be surprised. Well, I'm just so grateful. I really appreciate you taking the time. And as a viewer of poker content, I'm very, very excited to see what goes down in this heads up match. If nothing else, it will be entertaining. And if that's your guys' ultimate goal, then I think we are already a week in, very much entertained. So thank you so much, my dear. And we will hopefully catch up not too long from now. Maybe we can talk about the results and all that.
For sure. Let's do that.
Kevin Martin from GGPoker here, and I just got to ask, have you heard about GG Care? Oh, you haven't? Well, guess what? It's the new daily promotion that rewards you for experiencing all the bad luck poker has to offer. You know, the bad beats, the coolers, the suckouts, they're so frustrating. We hate them so much, but they cannot be avoided. But now, if you experience a bad beat on GGPoker, GG Care has your back. You'll automatically be registered to play in the next daily $30,000 GG Care flip out tournament. Here's the best part. You don't even have to be online for these flip out tournaments. Yes, you still have a chance for cash to go right into your balance. So remember, next time you're on GGPoker and you take a bad beat, GG Care has your back. So if you have not joined the fastest online growing website, then make sure you join the GGPoker community and join me at the tables very soon.
Well, I think being able to sit down with Fedor clearly speaks to the relaxed vibe that both of these guys are taking into this match. And I'm very excited to watch it and or at least like get some of the highlights. It's time-wise, it might not fit in with all my schedule.
Right. That's why you won't watch every hand. Yep. Just the
but
scheduling issue.
Super excited for the highlights. And if nothing else, I have really realized that this is something that the poker world is just loving and eating up. And actually, I made a little snippet of something that Daniel had said about Phil and what he viewed as his odds against Phil. And on Twitter, this got like crazy, like 250K impressions in like 2 days. Like people are clearly interested in this match with Phil and Daniel. And I think it's clearly not just the poker regs, right? But a lot of just everybody is interested in this match. So tell me a little bit about what went down when you put these guys both together in an interview.
Right. So Brandon and I started the show on the PokerGo platforms, No Gamble, No Future. And we had Hellmuth on and he talked about Negreanu. Negreanu has talked about Hellmuth. To your point, you put that video out. We had Daniel on. Daniel talked some more about Hellmuth. And we know that Phil is the defending champion of High Stakes Duel after he beat Antonio Esfandiari 3 times in a row for 100K, for 200K, and then for 400K. So they were going to rerun High Stakes Duel 2. Phil was looking for an opponent. Some big names were thrown around. Phil said that Tom Dwan was one of those names. But then when Daniel and Phil started going back and forth, what better than to put 2 of the absolute titans in the poker industry against each other to kick these things off? So March 16th, High Stakes Duel 2, Daniel Negreanu versus Phil Hellmuth for $100. We had them both on our show at the same time. And Sarah, this was an interviewer's dream. You would know this. I don't even think we let off with a question. We just welcomed them into a show. And then once Phil said, now I've got to ask Daniel something right off the top. And he mentioned those odds. He said, you think that you're a blah, blah, blah favorite over me. And then Daniel responded, and it was just back and forth. I think we asked 3 questions in the course of an hour. It was fantastic. They really went at each other. I think, Sarah, you would like this because it got pretty dramatic, as you might like to say. And they were pretty pissed off with each other. And I think that was real and that was genuine. And it makes you look forward all the more to this high stakes duel match that they have, because they're going to be chirping at each other and they're absolutely going to go to war. And I just can't wait for it.
Dude, I'm telling you, as the poker world, I'm just eating this up now. It's like Daniel and Doug got real serious and real quiet and real poker, which is great. And I'm okay, fine. That was one way to do it. But I think after all the years of drama between them, you know, we really expected this to be the fireworks. Little did we know, they were just setting the stage for the explosions of everyone else that was actually coming and on the way. And I'm just looking forward to it. I feel like as the poker media and as poker fans, we have nothing but things to look forward to in the coming months. And it's a nice, I know a lot of people have been pissed off at 2021, but I, for one, am just living it up.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I mean, they even negotiated the terms of a bet on the show where I'm trying to pull it up right now from Daniel. Yeah, bet offered and expected. So Daniel said $400,000. I'm giving you 2-to-1 odds that over 50 $25,000 buy-in events at Aria that you'll be able to be profitable. Daniel was like, there is no chance that if you played these high roller tournaments against the best in the world time and time again, that you're a profitable player. He said they will eat you alive. And then Phil took that bet. Now it might take a while to complete, but they were able to settle on a pretty decent sized bet. Phil Hellmuth, 200K, Daniel Negreanu, 400K, 50, $25,000 buy-in tournaments at Aria. Negreanu says that Hellmuth will not be a profitable player. So if he wins $1 or more over the course of these tournaments, then he does indeed win the bet. But Phil obviously felt very disrespected by Daniel because Daniel said that these top level players just have such an edge over Phil Hellmuth. And Daniel felt, I think, a little frustrated and annoyed with Phil. And then finally they both, kind of came together with terms on this bet. And so I'm excited to see that play out.
But that's, regardless of what the amount of the actual bet is, if you have to play $50,000, $25,000 tournaments, you're putting a lot on the line.
Yeah, that's true. This could crush Phil, not just losing the bet, but with a milli worth in buy-ins.
And that's exactly, that's what we're talking about even with Limitless, right? It's like put your money where your mouth is. Clearly Phil believes on himself. And that will be interesting to see, because this is a debate that's been raging for years now. Is Phil overrated? And can Phil beat anyone but like regular poker players?
Right.
I don't know. This is a debate. So I guess we'll finally be able to just put this shit to bed and move on.
Yeah, I think so. And that's what Daniel said. He said, Phil, you are fantastic at, exploiting these large fields and like a 1,500 at the World Series of Poker. Daniel called Phil great. Phil called Daniel great. But Daniel said, listen, man, when it comes to the high roller world, basically you got to wake up and see what these guys are doing. And Phil's like, well, I don't look at the GTO. I don't study blah, blah, blah. And Daniel said, that's disrespectful to these players who are not only grinding, but also studying and then studying some more. And there was just an entire back and forth that was amazing. Again, I recommend watching it. No Gamble, No Future on YouTube.
Yeah, it sounds like a giant, putting the Mentos in the Coca-Cola and just like, let's just see where this goes. I knew it was going to be good. All right, well, we've got, of course, some news stories to cover for you guys, some interesting stuff that went down over the course of the last week, starting with the Millions Super High Roller was won by Pascal Lefrancois, who, he's a name we see a lot. He's been around for ages. I think actually the very first World Series, or maybe the second one that I covered, he busted like 12th or something in the main event, so of course I kind of started following him, started getting down with his homies. And yeah, I think this was actually the year that Jonathan Duhamel won, who are both, part of this sicko Canadian contingent. But seeing him in super high rollers, I would say is not something I'm as used to seeing. And it's good. I think it's good to see these players that have been around for as long as he has, and to see them moving up, in the stakes, if you will, and then also coming out on top. And it was no easy field, obviously. Ami Bear in second. We have Jason Kuhn in fifth, Ole Shemian in sixth. Really, the whole final table looks ridiculous. And even all the people, Matthias Eibinger was the first player to bust. Of course it should come as no surprise that this was just a sick tournament with more than $500,000 going to Pascal.
It's funny you say that about him, because the first tournament that I covered for you at PokerNews was Millions Barcelona, and he won the main event there. So he's he just pops up on our radar. Like he makes a headline score, once every couple months, it seems. And you're right. I think, and I might be wrong on this, but it feels like that he's much more recently gotten into that high roller scene. So he'll play the 10Ks online, he'll play the 25Ks online now, and he's maybe been doing that for just the last, 6 months to a year. 70-player field in the super high roller event, in the 25K buy-in. He wins more than 525K. You said it, absolutely stacked field. There are very, very, very few soft spots in a 25K. And so props to him for coming out on top of that tough field.
Well, we've got another huge prize pool and another, ridiculously stacked field to begin with in the 2021 Party Poker Millions online main event. Now, are you familiar with, is it Endrit Geci, maybe? I'm not.
Endrit Geci. I don't know. I'm not familiar with him. Another stacked final table. We saw Christian Rudolph. We saw Daniel Dvoras. We saw Party Poker's own Dmitry Urbanovic. Jamie Staples made a huge run at this one. He made day 3. His Twitch stream was popping off. Congrats to Jamie. I think he had a 35K score, which was at least tied for his biggest score on Twitch. So that was amazing. That was fun to watch. A lot of people were tuning into that one. Pretty good turnout as far as the Party Poker Millions main is concerned. This is their biggest tournament of the year, and to have more than 1,000 entries in a 5K nowadays is pretty huge. For a prize pool of more than $5.4 million, their guarantee was much less. They smashed it. So and to Endrit Geci for after a deal taking this down about 775K.
Well, you mentioned the Jamie Staples. He was, rightly devastated, I think. And everyone knows that a little retail therapy is the way to handle that. And I did notice, in fact, if I go, I didn't even realize. So Drew Amato is the photographer. He's been working with the World Series for ages. I think he's the lead photographer for Poker Go, maybe?
He was, yeah, not anymore.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
no, he wanted to lead. Drew just, wanted to explore other opportunities.
Well, he's a fantastic photographer.
He's awesome. Drew Amato is fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's just a great guy and great at what he does. And so Jamie went ahead and bought several prints from Drew to, make himself feel better about his 32K or whatever he ended up taking home. But, that's definitely something we've talked about a lot in the podcast and just in poker in general is, getting super deep is great and super fun, but it can also be like more devastating sometimes than just busting.
Right. I mean, those opportunities are few and far between, right? Even for the best players in the world. So to have that chance, I can't imagine with that kind of a prize pool, with that kind of money up top. Listen, they say it all the time, but everybody's going to be disappointed and devastated except for the winner of the tournament. I mean, if he finished in second place, it'd be an amazing score. It'd be his best career score by a mile, and he would still be disappointed. That's the brutality of this game, but that's also part of it that we love, so much. It's like you have a run like that, and you're like, okay, I can do this. It kind of inspires you, and I'm sure it inspired plenty of people who were watching him. I think it had to have been a tremendous experience for him, just like every poker tournament is great experience for all of us. When you run deep, it can completely turn you off poker when it doesn't end well, or turn you on to it and that you want to do it more and more and more.
Like when you got 16th in the main event.
16th, yes, we're gonna go with 16th. Yep. That's when you want to dive in.
Well, our original guest this week on the show was going to be Chance Corneth, and as we were texting back and forth, he dissed me, whatever, that's fine. He is going to come on to the show next week because he said, and we had not even realized this yet, but that the WPT had finally scheduled, I think there was I should click on the thing before I say, but I think there was 3 final tables left basically that had not played out because of the, COVID and just things were put on pause. Chance said he thinks he's probably in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest ever chip lead at a final table. It has been about a year, and they will be playing that one out next week, Wednesday the 10th, and we will actually have Chance on the show that Friday. But we also got Lynn Gilmatton on the show to talk a little bit about what's been going down with the WPT, what we can expect in the future, what's just happened recently. She let us know that the World Poker Tour just had its 2nd largest event ever in Florida, like last month, which just goes to show, dude. So we're ready. We're ready for it. Bring it back, right?
We're ready. We're ready to go. So it's going to be at the Poker Go studio, which all of the final tables that at least are scheduled are going to be at. You might remember pre-pandemic and back in 2019, the World Poker Tour was hosting its final tables at the HyperX Esports Arena, but when they were sold off to another company, they are no longer aligned with Allied Esports. So I'm not sure if HyperX Esports Arena will act as a host for any World Poker Tour events in the future. It might just be at the Poker Go studio, or they might try somewhere else. But yeah, you said it, WPT Gardens on March 10th. And then they will have 3 more final tables, 2 more that are just sitting there and waiting. The WPT Borgata Winter Poker Open, the LA Poker Classic. Those will take place in mid-May, along with a new final table of the WPT Hard Rock Poker Showdown, which will take place in a little bit over in Florida.
Just banging them out. I love it.
Yeah.
And speaking of the live poker that we've been waiting for and that we, miss and love, we know that the Venetian is where our boy Chad is going to be, just playing live, doing his best to bring home the PokerNews bacon. And yeah, so he's playing the WPT Venetian, which is about to kick off. And there's the Wynn is in the midst of the Spring Classic.
Yeah, this is great. And I'm sure Ryan talked about it in his interview with Chad, but the Wynn Spring Classic has some really, really big events, a $600 250K, a $3,500 1 milli, and then in a couple weeks, which I think is really bold, especially in this pandemic world, $1,600 buy-in, a $1 million guarantee for that. I mean, that is strong for that low of a buy-in. The Venetian WPT, it's a 5K, it's a $1.5 million guarantee. I think they'll shatter that. I think they'll get 500, 600 players, which again is just fantastic. It says a lot about live poker. We've seen these huge turnouts in both Vegas and Florida. So these next couple months look really good. And then with President Biden saying that every adult American will at least have access to a vaccine by the end of May, who knows what's to come in the summer. Chad said it last week. He predicts that the World Series of Poker will still run this year, but maybe pushed back a couple months. So all signs look really, really promising for a huge 2021 as far as live poker is concerned. So I think the Wynn and the Venetian will do really, really well in the next couple weeks.
It's so funny. It's almost like, the girlfriend, the boy or the girl that you can't get, or a cat, like when you pull the ball away and it like reaches for the ball. It's like we've all been without live poker for just a little bit. Yeah, so now we're just like want it even more, and we're like more ready than ever. So, I think this might be the best thing ever for poker. I think the Rona did some very interesting things, and that it provided some new spaces for content. I think it made a lot of avenues for online poker that maybe did or didn't exist before. A lot of companies just started exploring their online, presence. We took a year, we built that up, and now it's like, boom, let's get back into live and hit it harder than we ever did, which I'm super excited about. And speaking of the, live poker realm and how to keep us safe and how to keep us, prepared in this environment, let's hear another word from our sponsors, Elite Chip Care.
Chips dirty and unsanitary? Elite Chip Care's ultrasonic cleaners kill bacteria and pathogens without using chemicals. Protect your team from potentially hazardous chemicals, UV, and gases. For daily sanitizing of your chips, our laboratory oven will eradicate most viruses using only heat. Up to 2,500 chips sanitized in just 3 minutes. Avoid the reoccurring expense of costly chemicals, UV bulbs, and gases. Safe, inexpensive, and sustainable. Visit EliteChipCare.com.
Well, you mentioned, Jeff, that the World Series of Poker, we have maybe more hope than we've ever had at this moment that it could potentially pop off in 2021. But in the meantime, the World Series of Poker circuit has shifted online, and it has been a great success. I think more than a lot of people would have anticipated or imagined. And let's talk about the online Planet Hollywood series.
Sure. And yeah, you're worried about burnout, I think, when you run a circuit series every single month. And that's basically what the World Series is doing. Last 2 weeks of every month, they're going to put a circuit online. So last month, it was the Winter Online Super Circuit Series. And then I guess that was in January. And then at the end of February, the Planet Hollywood Circuit Series. The events are pretty similar, but every event is crushing it. Every event is beating its guarantee. Some very familiar names as far as WSOP circuit ring winners: Jared Jaffe, Ralph Perry, Ari Engel, Steve Gross, Lucky Chewy, Andrew Lichtenberger, Daniel Buzzgun Juice, clearly the MVP of this series, clearly the player of the series. He won not one, but 2 rings. He wins the $300 knockout freeze out for about $15K. And he also won the big 500 for about $25K. Derek Sudell won the main event, the $525 buy-in, $250K guarantee, 723 entries in that one for a prize pool of more than $361,000. Derek wins for more than $57K. I'm really curious with what they have coming up on Sunday, Sarah, because they're going to have a $5,000 freeze out, a 5K buy-in, a 250K guarantee. So it's not like they need that many entries to hit the guarantee. I'm just curious to see what a 5K freeze out does online as far as attendance is concerned. We saw really good numbers with the 10K main event in December, but that was the World Series of Poker main event. This is just like, hey, it's just a 5K freeze out. This is way, way, way higher than anything else they have on WSOP.com. Typically, their highest buy-in in a week is a 1K. So to see this 5K, that's a big step, and I'm curious to see how it does.
Wow, yeah, but it's great. I love to see the poker industry just in general take chances, throw things against the wall, see what hits, and wherever that ends up being, whether it's lowering buy-ins, hiring buy-ins, doing whatever they have to do.
Yeah.
I think it's exciting, and it's a fun little experiment, a little data. Well, our sponsors also, GGPoker, are celebrating International Women's Day. On March 8th, they're going to be hosting a $10,000 guaranteed tournament with a $10 buy-in. They've got a bunch of bounties, and $1 from each entry is going to be donated to charity. Extra $10K put in by GGPoker. Again, that's March 8th at 8 o'clock GMT. Over here in America, I always have to just Google what that actually means.
Yeah, the GMT. Who knows?
What's GMT? What does that mean for us? I don't know. But I did tell them that I would let you guys know. Of course, I'm always down with the charity tournaments. You can feel good about losing then, no matter what.
Yeah.
All right, and Jeff, what do you have coming up this next week?
Obviously, I'll just go sweat Chad at the WPT event when he makes the final table. So that's pretty much it for me on No Gamble, No Future. We're going to have MJ, one of Daniel's coaches, for his first interview since the Negreanu Polk Challenge, get his thoughts on what's coming up as far as Negreanu and Hellmuth are concerned. We'll probably talk a little Fedor Limitless as well. And so, yeah, Sarah, I might go to Cabo next week and fire off some GG poker for the first time. So I'm really, really excited about that.
How rich.
How rich, very rich. Or it's the family's going to Cabo and I get to stay with them at some fancy schmancy place that I'm sure they have booked. That's the way to do it, folks.
That's 100% to get into your adult life and just still be mooching off your family forever.
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy about it. Not ashamed in any way whatsoever. What about you? What do you have going on?
No, you're right. It is also, there is a spring break. I did recently discover my child's daycare sent me a message like, reminder, it's going to be spring break. Whatever, it's like the 15th through the 19th. Yeah. I was like, are you effing kidding me? Because she is a 1-year-old. She does, every day is spring break. Why does she have spring break?
Yeah. And she doesn't need a week off.
No.
She's going to be fine at daycare.
It just means I had to find another daycare thing. This is a constant battle for me, but I will figure it out. Although I will say I did consider maybe going on a little vacay, but somebody's got to run the show. Somebody's got to keep this thing going. And I'm going to be talking tonight to Veronica Brill. Super, super excited to finally meet her, chat with her, talk about her experience on, is it high stakes poker? Poker after dark?
Poker after dark.
I said poker after dark. And then when I was talking to someone else, and then I was like, am I wrong? There's all these great shows happening again. I don't even remember, but I'm super excited to talk to her and to meet her actually officially for the first time. Lynn Gilmartin next week. We've got Chance Corneth next week. We've got a ton of exciting guests for you guys. And it looks like the news in poker is not stopping. So you do not want to click away from us. And if you want to leave us a nice review and just tell us that you love us and make sure that our bosses know that it's very important that we stay on and maybe even get a raise, feel free to throw that in for in your review if you want. We just appreciate you guys listening or watching or however you're consuming our content. And we will just catch you on the flip side.
Run It Once is a brand new online poker site founded by poker superstar Phil Galfond, who has the player's experience at heart. Run It Once plans to make online poker fun and less predatory while providing ample rewards and innovative features at the same time. All new Run It Once players who download the software via PokerNews are entitled to a 100% deposit bonus worth up to €600. What makes this welcome bonus unique is that you can make as many deposits as you like for that first 30 days after your first deposit. This makes it perfect for those players who do not want to or cannot deposit $600 in one chunk. Be sure to check it out at once.run/pnpod. That's once.run/pnpod.